Hello, everybody. We're back again today with another top 10 movie list. This time we're cracking the 1990s, starting with 1990 itself. We've done our movies from 1980 to 1989. Be sure to check those out. They'll be in the description below, all the links. Also, check out Brian's channel, Massey's Maine Entertainment, where we have done our perfect album from 1965 through 1989. All of those will be below as well. Check them out on Brian's channel. We recently did 1990 tonight, so that'll be available to everybody as a tandem video. If you want to see what was going on in music in 90, check Brian's channel. Movies, check mine out. Here with Brian, of course, and Doc, the usual suspects, so to speak. And we're here to give our individual lists for the top 10 movies, or what we thought were the top 10 movies of 1990. Interesting to break into the 90s because you have a bunch of movies coming out with the independent wave of film, and it seems like there's so many more movies released during this time. Home video was huge, so if you missed it in the theater, of course you can check it out on Blockbuster and that type of thing back then. I was watching priced 150, 180 movies a year back in those days, so I pretty much saw everything that was released, and I'm sure you guys have covered the same kind of territory. So guys, here we go. 1990. The order tonight is going to be Brian, Doc, and myself. We'll go in reverse order, 10 down to 1, and we'll give our worst pick as well. So here we go. Brian, you want to kick it off with your list?
Sure. If we're going to play roles of the usual suspects, just to be clear, I've got dibs on Benicio del Toro's character. just so everybody knows, right?
Not a bad call.
Okay. In English, please. Anyway, I'm going to kick it off here with a movie that I had not even seen, but you guys had it high on your list when I went back and looked at some of the older videos and stuff. And I actually really like this movie now. It's a kind of a neo-noir film. I got State of Grace, crime drama. It's got Sean Penn and Gary Oldman in it. I think Ed Harris is the older brother, if I remember. Francis no, it's who plays the girl in it? I'm trying to remember now.
Robin.
There you go. Yeah, and I was like, wow, this movie is fantastic. It's about, one brother's a cop that kind of comes back to the old neighborhood, and his older brother's kind of running his crime family and everything. And it's all the entanglements that goes along with that. I just thought, wow, what an engaging film. What a all-star cast of actors. I mean, and they all mesh so well together, didn't trip over each other's feet to give quality performances. So I wanted to include that, and big props to you guys for having it earlier. Number 9 for me, I've got Mel Gibson's version of Hamlet. I don't know if you've seen that, but actually it's very good, very accessible, even for people who are really maybe not into, the highbrow English language stuff that's associated with Shakespeare stuff. Yeah. But it had Glenn Close in it as his mother. Very, very, very young. Why is her name escaping me? The girl who played Ophelia was Tim Burton's wife.
Yeah.
Susan?
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena Bonham Carter. Yeah, very young Helena Bonham Carter who played Ophelia in it. And Ian Holm was in it. He played Polonius. Just really an all-star cast. And of course, Mel playing Hamlet himself. The dialogue, obviously is the highbrow English, like I said, but fantastic job acting. And my kids were able to watch that and fully understand it and really enjoy Hamlet, even for what it was. So number 8, I've got Flatliners. I'm going to go with kind of a horror movie here. Very interesting concept to me about wanting to see how far you could push the limits of letting somebody flatline on a table and then bringing them back from the brink of death, because they wanted to see whether there's something after death. And what happens is, of course, the twist of it all is that they pull their sins back with them, and those sins manifest physically against them. And until they reconcile with those sins that they've committed, then they're constantly tortured by those films in various ways throughout the film. So it's really interesting. It's got Julia Roberts in it, Kevin Bacon's in it, very young Oliver Platt. I mean, just a really good cast all the way.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, one of the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah,
I think it was with William. So it's a good cast. Number 7, I've got Misery. Man, It would be my ultimate nightmares if I was laying in bed one day and a woman walked in with a sledgehammer. That would be absolutely the end of times right there. That had to be one of those scenes where everybody looked away when it actually happened the first time, right?
Yeah.
Because you just sensed that it was coming. Fantastic job by James Caan on the adaptation of Stephen King's novel. Kathy Bates, I think she was nominated for this film. Just an incredible job. Maybe one of the more true to the book type of movies from Stephen King that they did, and it kind of speaks to. He said some of the manifestations came from actual fans of him that would approach him. And he said sometimes you don't know what you're getting when fans just walk up to you, and start a conversation with you. You don't know what kind of person they really are. Number 6, I've got La Femme Nikita, which is the original French version of Point of No Return, I believe, here in the United States. But I encourage everybody to watch this. It's about an assassin. It's about a girl who is a criminal, but then they fake her death so they can pull her into this organization where you become a professional killer. And then she gets used to this elaborate lifestyle that they kind of set you up with, and but she wants to try to get out of it all at some point, and she falls in love with a guy and everything else, and very interesting plot line. I suggest everybody see this version, not so much the Point of No Return one. I thought that was really watered down, not a very good version. Number 5, I've got The Hunt for Red October. If you need to see a submarine movie, this is probably the one to see, other than Das Boot or maybe U-571. Might be some other ones you might want to see, but this one's a really good adaptation of the Clancy novels and everything. This was one, they kind of constantly switched who played Jack Ryan and all these things, and Baldwin was the original one that they used in this film. Then they made multiple changes afterwards, with Ben Affleck and Harrison Ford and various other people and stuff. Great movie though, good suspense movie all the way through. Number 4, I kind of bit the bullet on this one and said, okay, it deserves to be a little higher than I probably normally would have had it. I've got Dances with Wolves here, won Best Picture that year, but I'm only putting it at number 4. It's a little long for me, and it's a little bit Costner centric for me. Maybe if they had a little bit more of the Native Americans in it, I probably could have lived with. Maybe if they even had more Buffalo, I probably could have lived with it being a little higher. But Costner being what it was, it is what it is. It's a good watch, but it's just a movie I can't plug through all the time, and so it's not a movie that if it came on every week that I would let it finish. And in any regard, I had to be in a certain mood. So number 3 for me, I've got a Coen Brothers film really high here. I've got Miller's Crossing. I really love the performances by John Turturro in this one, and I don't know why names are really escaping me tonight, but who plays the lead character?
Gabriel Byrne.
Yes, Gabriel Byrne. Even a small cat. I noticed that Frances McDormand played like a secretary in this very small role, like the mayor's secretary. I'm like, wow, that you're really young in your acting career when you're taking this one here. So really good job by everybody in it. I like it. It's a neo-noir kind of gangster film. The two begging for your life scenes that kind of really is the MacGuffin of the film, I think, is that by sparing Turturro's life, the catastrophic consequences that it actually has, and Burns' life and the havoc that it wreaks, and then it all comes right back around to that point again. And then when Turturro's begging for his life the second time, when he asks him, look into your heart, and Gabriel Byrne looks back at him and goes, what heart? And just pulls the trigger so effortlessly at that point. So great movie. I really enjoy it. I love Coen Brothers films. Number 2 for me, I've got maybe, I don't know if it's maybe my highest rated horror film. I've got Jacob's Ladder here. I really love it. Tim Robbins in this film. It's got that really surreal psycho thriller type of thing going on. They started using these weird camera effects where they make everything vibrate really quickly, and the contortion of the limbs and everything like that. Danny Aiello's in the film as well. It's about these Vietnam veterans that come back and they're experiencing all sorts of hallucinations and everything. And there's also they're confronted by a guy who said he was part of a program in which they were experimenting on soldiers, and to try to get the optimal energy out of them and optimal fighting capacity out of them. And they all just like, they put it in their weeds. They figure that's the one thing that all the veterans over in Vietnam were definitely going to be taken, right? And they all just kind of wigged out and started killing each other, you know. And really what you find out at the end of the film, with not being too much of a spoiler, is that Tim Robbins was, you know, dying on the table, and in his mind he was kind of reconciling all the things in his life before he would be able to let go. So number one, oh no, got to pick my worst film, right? Ugh. This one was really tough, but you know, in the end I said, you know, I got tired of even seeing, as a person who worked in a video store, I got tired of seeing his movies on the shelf. So I put Ernest Goes to Jail here. You know, I don't know at what point do you just stop, you know, you just stop, you stop giving guys their own movie based on just one little premise, you know. Ernest has Christmas, Ernest does this, Ernest does that, you know. I just never found his particular set of humor very funny. To me, he was always like a really, I don't know, goofy redneck version of Martin Short. Just couldn't really get into his type of humor. So I wanted to go ahead and bust on Ernest Goes to Jail here. Worst movie in my mind by a long shot. So, but number one for me, and I feel like this probably might be a repeating motif tonight, I got Goodfellas. It just seemed like the clear number one for this year. I mean, as soon as you pull up the list, you're going Goodfellas. And, you know, to this day, I just can't understand why it lost to Dances with Wolves. I can't even imagine the situation in which that would be even considered. I mean, it's such a good movie all the way around. Powerful performances by Ray Liotta and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and just the supporting cast all the way around. Just everything about the film is just, you know, so much attention to detail about the lifestyle and the language and everything about it. I think it's fantastic. It's one of those movies that's an absolute must watch for anybody who's never, you know, seen the film. They have to see this film before they die. And then, you know, if I had a list of 25 films to see before you die, Goodfellas is on that list for sure. So that's what I got.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Yep. I got, there's a couple surprises on there, but pleasant surprises. I like it. Your number 6 was my runner-up. Number 11 on that. I couldn't fit it in, but I like that movie a lot.
I'm trying to think, what was your number 6, right?
Femme
Nikita.
Oh, okay.
That was a close call for me. It just got edged out, but I think it's way better than the American version.
Yeah.
With Bridget Fonda. This was with that French actress. It was very good.
Yeah, we got pretty close, I'd say.
I don't know how many we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 5. I think we're batting 500. 5 out of 10.
Well, I'll do my list now.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll figure this out pretty quickly, I think, brother.
Okay.
So 1990 for Doc. So I go all over the place here, guys. So this is just me. I'm taking a personal favorite with me to start, and the other one I can explain later, but whatever the case, I'm taking Darkman at number 10 for me.
Wow.
Yeah. For lots of reasons outside the fact that I'm sure I'd have family members yelling at me if I didn't have this on there, because I love this movie. I really love this movie. I think it's hey, Frances McDormand's in this one too. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, it's true.
Yep. She's Liam Neeson's boyfriend. I just think there's something so campy and look, and this is a cartoon. This is a comic book into a movie.
Yeah.
And it's a year later removed from Batman, but it's got almost the same kind of vibe, man. They're not trying to do something outside they're not trying to do like a blockbuster freaking coming at you, man. They're telling a comic book story with loads of comic book undertones, and they show it as a comic book movie. I love that aspect of this movie. Mm-hmm. Liam Neeson was fantastic as Darkman. Mm-hmm. Didn't know anything about the character even when I watched this movie. I just fell in love with this movie from the get-go, man. I think it's Sam Raimi too. I don't know. I think maybe lived in this one.
It sounds like something he would do.
Yeah. Now we'll get into the movie things, I think, now, boys. So, but that's I'm having that on my list. So, I found this year there's there's loads of psychos in a whole bunch of movies. You know, there's like, I have this list down. You know, Pacific Heights has the psycho, and Bad Influence has the psycho, and
Yeah.
Miami Blues, a young Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and I really, that was tough to leave off for me. I had to pick the best of the psychos, and regrettably, this is the best one for me. So I am sorry, Brian, but Internal Affairs is going to come in at number 9 for me.
Richard.
Yes, it has Richard Gere. Yes, Richard is not everybody's favorite. Richard Gere is very good in this movie, man. Yeah, he is a good psycho in this, and Andy Garcia is very good opposite of him in this movie, man. If you want, it's just the best of the psycho. I just find there's so many. Miami Blues are that. That's where I'm going. So, because I do like Fred Ward and the other one, but this one just has a little bit more teeth to the story to me, and a little bit more. Like I said, man, yeah. Richard Gere is going to show up maybe later on in my life here too. So I'll put it that way. But number 9 is going to come in with Internal Affairs. Pretty good, just twisty kind of backstabbing kind of flick, man. Number 8. Yeah, that hobbling scene, man, stands out. Right? Kathy Bates. Well deserved. James Caan is great in this, man. And Kathy Bates is even better, if you want the truth. I know that's not quite in your wheelhouse, Rich, but I think you can respect the effort that she puts in on this movie, man.
No doubt.
You totally
Dirty
believe
birdie.
her. Yeah. Dirty birdie. Get the wrong paper again, eh? So that's I think she's well deserving of what she got for this. I think it's in a lot of ways she carries the movie, man. And yeah, there's some scenes that are pretty tense, and yeah, there's scenes that you look away from. Just that foot, man, is that just in my head, that's bad enough. But yeah, this one's a lot of movies with wackos out there, man. There's another good one here with a wacko leading the cast here. So Misery's a good movie, man. Really good movie. Number 7. I got Presumed Innocent coming in at number 7. This is a good twisty story, man. I don't know how to. Lots of twists, lots of turns. You don't actually see the ending coming until you actually watch it the first time, kind of thing. But you wouldn't want to give too much away, man. But there's a lot of fingers that are pointing in one direction on something's going on, and then you start to question: is it? I never read the book. I don't read many books, and I'm not going to lie to you, but I heard it's very close to the book, and just a really cool performance. And you're on the edge of your seat, man, because you're questioning yourself throughout the movie. Once you're engaged in the movie, what actually takes place about somebody having an affair and lawyers and all these other things, and the wife finds out.
Right.
A combination of these different stories overlapping, and Harrison Ford's in the middle of it all. Presumed Innocence, a really good, twisty little thriller, man. Number 7 for me. I also respect Dances with Wolves, so that's where I've got coming in at number 6. So I know you had it at 4. I think, Brian, and you were questioning maybe higher, and it's like, I got it at 6, and I'm questioning maybe it goes lower.
It was based on the Buffalo's performance. They just did an outstanding job.
Yeah. Respect in movie making, man. What can you do? And that's what I'm trying to do here. It took a long time for them to make the movie. It's a Costner, and sometimes he's a hit, sometimes he's a miss. We've talked about that before. He's good in this movie, man, for sure. But yeah, there are some dragging scenes. When you're watching Dances with Wolves, this is not a Michael Mann buckle in and watch. It's Michael. This is a buckle in and pop popcorn twice, man, because you're gonna be there for a while, and that's what it is. So, yeah. But Dances with Wolves, I still respect the movie. It's in my top 10 of the year, man, because I think it deserves to be. And placement is one thing, but I think if it makes the list in 1990, it's deserved. It's a really good movie, man, and it got a lot of accolades for a lot of reasons too. I also have The Hunt for Red October coming in right behind that one. Not a shock, I'm sure, Brian. Hey, you know I love my friggin' sub movies anyway, so and this is right up there for me. You're right, Das Boot, then I probably go here. So and the opening story, man, of the Clancy novels here about espionage and spies and all these different things that are taking place, especially during the Cold War and stuff. And it's Sean Connery leading a Russian sub, and you're trying to determine if he's actually going to attack the States or try to make his way to freedom. And that's what the basis of the story is around. So And it's with a nuclear sub at the middle of it all. So I'm for Red October. Like I said, Baldwin, he's great in it too. That Jack Ryan character is really good. And I thought Harrison was good later on in life. And he may make an appearance later on because I do like some of those movies as well. But
yeah.
Baldwin was a great start, man. I wish he would have stuck with it. It was a great character for him.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, I got to be honest. So I'm going to be honest with myself. So number 4 for me is, I like these kind of movies, boys. So it's going back to a personal choice for me, man. I got Total Recall. This is one of my favorites.
Yep.
I'm sure it's not a surprise for you guys that this shows up on my list. Where I place these things is maybe different, but this is my most watchable one out of 1990. I'll tell you that for me. I just love these kind of movies, man. I don't know what to tell you. This is a guy flick with, I'm not expecting anything out of it except to be entertained and lots of action and swearing and all this kind of stuff. You get it all, man. Swartz is pumping this kind of stuff out, and he did that for a while, man. This guy was making $20 million before anybody else making a movie, man, for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Recall's a great guy flick in my neighborhood, man. What can I tell you? Is it a dream or did it really happen? You have to watch the movie. But another one I wish they never would have made a friggin' remake of too.
Right.
Number 3, I got Awakenings coming in at number 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Robin Williams is really good, man. That's what I'll tell you. Robert De Niro's fantastic. And it's a true story. It's a touching story. It's this is a tug at the heartstrings kind of movie, man. It's so well done. The acting's fantastic. Really, really and top tier stuff, man. And Robin Williams has done a couple back to back here with Dead Poets and this. He's not just a comedic kind of guy, man. This is somebody who can act and do something a little bit more when he's on screen. Awakenings, man. If that doesn't tug at you, I don't know what will at this time. So, like I said, De Niro, it's almost like next level even for him, man. You want the truth because it's the flow of his characters, even in that's a tug on its own.
Yeah.
Number 2, I was so happy Brian had this on his list early because I love this movie. So it's State of Grace, buddy. So yeah, it's I think you summed it up pretty good, man, but like you said, Sean Penn and Gary Oldman, Ed Harris, this is hey, look, right there, it's a good movie. So anything else is a bonus, right? The story and Ed Harris is fantastic in this movie. Sean Penn might be just a tad more in this movie. The truth be told, Gary Oldman's a tad above him. Gary Oldman I love both these guys, man. I love all these guys. Gary Oldman, man, something special, and he's still pretty young doing this one too, man.
Yeah.
What a character. Friggin', I don't know, man. Acting just rises to the top for me sometimes, man. And this is serious stuff. Great story, great underlining things, man. Like you talked about with the family and the friends and John C. Reilly and stuff like that. There's a great little fit in. It's a great story, man. It's just a really good friend movie, eh? Really good friend movie. Worst movie. Before I get to my number 1. So it had to be something I watched, right? So that I think, I never saw Ernest. I'd have to trust you, buddy. I never want to see Ernest once I saw the first one. So after that was it for Ernest for me. I did see a few, man. Gremlins 2 I actually saw, and that didn't win. I saw this one, Opportunity Knocks, and that didn't win. Dick Tracy was shit. Pretty Woman might be the most overrated movie, man, but I'm going to stick with even the crappiest, worst movie of that year, too. So I'm just giving it dual honors. It's the worst movie of the year. I can't get it. I told you it's overrated many times before, and we've talked about it. It's also winning my worst movie of the year. I can't take them. So I can't take Richard Gere. I can't take the story. I can't take Julia Roberts. I can't take the BS that movie just shovels. And,
wow.
That's a rom-com.
It's gonna be a hot take. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, what? I don't care, man. That's my opinion. You want to watch
awesome.
Go watch that.
We just lost every female viewer we had.
I love it.
No,
I'm just kidding, man.
There goes the one. It's not. It's just my take. What do you want to hear, man? Is it the worst movie of the year? Yeah, it is, man. That's
Pretty bad.
there's good rom-coms that came out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't one of them, man. That's La La Land for me. And I know it shot people to stardom and made $1 billion or whatever. It's garbage. It's my take. Oh
I
well.
love it.
Yeah, Brian, Goodfellas is the best movie of the year. Yeah, he's this is not a question. This is this gets into the best movies of all time neighborhood, like you talked about. If I've had a list of 20, is this? You bet it is. Even when we get into the genre, I sometimes debate on where I actually place this when I get the Godfather conversation, and Goodfellas come into play for me, man, because I think this movie is absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And from 1972 to this, from that whole era, there's nothing like this, man. The Godfather and Goodfellas, you could have the same conversation, and I can hear arguments across the board, man. Goodfellas is a masterpiece. Acting, Pesci, De Niro, like you said, Leota. It's all about the sauce, man. This is the best, man.
Yeah.
This is easy.
Ever since I can remember, I wanted to be a gangster. That's really...
Leota going across the street with his neighbor, right? Smacking him.
I love that scene. That's my favorite scene. man.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
Goodfellas
right across the nose. Oh, baby.
just doesn't stop. Freaking right.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, great.
There you
film.
go.
Yeah, great.
There you
film.
go.
Awakenings was another one that I wrestled with. Came up a little short, but great list.
Thank you.
I think I had 6, Doc. 6 of the 10 there.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay.
I won't tell you how many trifectas. I'll let you count them off as I go on. But
As we go.
there's a few. Very good. Let's start it off. Number 10. This one nobody had. We all have these personal kind of movies somewhere. Brian had Hamlet, which was a good pick, and Doc had Darkman. I went with The Freshman. This is the one with Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando.
Well, Brando.
It's kind of a crime comedy hybrid kind of movie. They're exporting exotic endangered animals and serving them in a restaurant. That's the premise of the movie. It's a crime. They're bringing in, all kinds of things that are that you would never think to eat. One of them is a Komodo dragon. That's a whole other chapter of the movie. It's kind of funny when the dragon gets loose, and Marlon Brando's reprising his Don Corleone role in a way. He's a lookalike, and he's talking like him, and it's a running joke that he could be the Godfather reincarnated, that type of thing. Good supporting cast with Bruno Kirby, Penelope Ann Miller, Frank Whaley, one of Doc's boys. He's in this as well. So good flick. Always a chuckle. It's well written too. My number 9 is our first, I believe, trifecta, The Hunt for Red October. I have it number 9.
Very good.
Directed by John McTiernan, who gave us Die Hard a couple years before this. This is a good CIA ballistic missile submarine kind of movie during the Cold War. Good spy thriller off the Tom Clancy novel. Big time cast. You guys mentioned them: Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, Scott Glenn's in here, Sam Neill's in here, James Earl Jones is in here. It's a really good cast. And I had to put it on the list at number 9. Number 8 is another trifecta, State of Grace. I have it number 8.
Awesome.
Sort of almost a cult film because it did no box office when it came out. It got buried whatever time it was released in the year. It didn't catch on until it went to home video. A lot of people caught up with it. Basically, you guys talked about the Irish mob in New York's Hell's Kitchen. First-rate acting. Gary Oldman is definitely the star of this picture as far as I'm concerned, as far as a character actor, just sinking into a role. He does a phenomenal job. Anytime you can outact Sean Penn and Ed Harris, you're doing something. And the supporting cast here is John Turturro and John C. Reilly, and of course, Robin Wright, later to be Robin Wright Penn. I believe they may even have met on this film and got married.
I think so.
But anybody that hasn't seen State of Grace, maybe the title throws you off, a little bit, but it's really a hard-hitting kind of friends turning against each other, and that mob lifestyle where you're dealing with street level people, realistic drama. They all have a story to tell. I think it's really a good movie. My number 7, Internal Affairs. Doc Hattie. I agree with him. Richard Gere, one of his best roles. He plays the villain in this crime thriller. Crime thriller. You got a corrupt cop and the internal affairs agent played by Andy Garcia. Cat and mouse kind of stuff going on. Mind games with each other. Gere is a sleazeball, an absolute low-life piece of shit. He'll do anything to make other people's lives miserable, and he sets people up to get murdered, and just really a trashy kind of guy. Garcia has his own demons. He's very possessive and jealous of his wife, and
Right.
Gere uses that against him, where he's taking her underwear, just really sleazy stuff that you cannot believe. The wife's played by Nancy Travis, who's this really girl next door type of actress, and she's targeted by Gere. And that's another dimension to the film that I like. So that's going to make my list at number 7. That's the one I can rewatch, Joe. I enjoy that film. Number 6 is Miller's Crossing. Brian had it on his list. The Coen brothers, another Irish mob film, gangsters during the Prohibition era. Gritty, cool dialogue like the Coen brothers usually write, and another all-star cast with Gabriel Byrne, Albert Finney, John Turturro, and some memorable scenes. Marcia Gay Harden, a great actress.
Yep.
Just tremendous cinematography as well when they went in that forest, and great storytelling, soundtrack, everything you want in that movie's there. My number 5 is Presumed Innocent, another of Doc's picks. This is one of those great legal thrillers from the 90s, where the prosecutor, played by Harrison Ford, is charged with the murder of his colleague who he was having an affair with. And it goes on from there. And you got some great courtroom battle scenes where they're bringing in surprise witnesses and testimony, and doctors changing their story. Harrison Ford, great in the movie. Raul Julia as the guy who
Raul Julia.
him. He's great in it. Brian Dennehy, who was sort of a turncoat. He starts out as Harrison Ford's friend, and he has to go against him here. Bonnie Bedelia is the wife, and Greta Scacchi as the mistress, who unfortunately doesn't last long in the movie, but there's a lot of flashback scenes to her and Ford's affair as well. So good stuff. My number 4 is one you guys didn't have, but I'm a Godfather connoisseur and guru. I have Godfather Part 3 as my number 4. I know it's not up to the standards of 1 and 2. I get it, but it does wrap up the Godfather saga after 16 years after the Godfather 2 landmark film. There's lots of extraneous plot lines in here, elements, the Vatican and the incestuous thing with Andy Garcia and the daughter of Al Pacino here. But I like Garcia taking over the role as the new Don. He's sort of forced into it because of the health of Pacino. Yeah. And you got Connie, who's taking more of an involved role as well in the decisions. She's more sort of putting thoughts in people's, she's behind the scenes, but she's still a player. I just think Al Pacino, when you take what he did in 1, 2, and 3, it's one of the great performances of an arc of a character from where he starts out to where he ends on that little seat in the courtyard there over in Italy. It's just a great movie. And there's the guilt that he has of killing his brother Fredo in the other film, the second film. That's a huge scene in this movie. So I have to put it up high on my list at number 4. Number 3 is The Grifters. This is a movie I like, a little film, a neo-noir kind of crime thriller directed by Stephen Frears, who did The Dangerous Liaisons a couple of years prior to this. Got a good cast of John Cusack, Angelica Houston, and Annette Bening in one of her early roles. They play con artists. Cusack's caught in the middle of who's he loyal to, his mother, played by Houston, or his girlfriend, played by Bening. They're all trying to outfox each other, and maybe he can't trust anybody. Everybody's playing each other. It's kind of a really, it's a character study 3 ways. It's well written, and you sit back and watch the acting, watch all the dominoes fall where they may. It's kind of a hidden gem, I would call it, for the 90s. My number 2, another trifecta, Dances with Wolves. I had to put it up pretty high. I think it's a a pretty sweeping kind of epic, beautiful to look at, old school filmmaking where you have to let it play out. You know, you're going in with a 3-hour movie, you take in the landscape, you let it play out, take its time. There's not going to be a lot of action in it. Costner not only acted, but directed the film. I think he does a fantastic job. Post-Civil War, he's got an outpost out in South Dakota where he gets involved with the Native American Indians and their customs and their history. And actually the wolves are become a player. And I don't know, it doesn't depict the Indians as a savage bunch of people. You sort of have the empathy for their situation. And I think it's a really good Western in a way. Won 7 Oscars, nominated for 12. And I think it gets lambasted mostly because it beat Goodfellas. And that everybody holds it against it. But if you look at it and just take it for what it is, it's a well done movie. My worst film, no, it's not going to be Pretty Woman, although I'm glad Doc gave it to Shaft. My worst is The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. This is a comedy vehicle for Andrew Dice Clay, who was hot at that time. They threw him this movie. It's got Gilbert Gottfried in it as well. Just stupid nonsense. You can't carry an 1.5-hour movie with Andrew Dice Clay.
No, they took his set from a comedy, you know what I mean, from his act, and basically made a movie out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
No thanks. I'll take a rain check. I watched it, but I just consider the source. It's terrible. It's not even a film. It's just a gag, and it goes on way too long. My number one, we're in agreement completely. It's Goodfellas. There's no way it could be anything else. It's head and shoulders above anything else released that year. Martin Scorsese, arguably one of his many masterpieces. It may be his best film when you come right down to it. Whether you take Raging Bull or Taxi Driver or The Departed, they're all in the conversation. But the Goodfellas is tough to beat. You guys mentioned the cast with Liotta, Pesci, De Niro. Paul Sorvino too was in this as well.
Yeah.
Lorraine Bracco does a great job as the wife. You know, to me, it's the 3rd best mob movie ever made. I like the 1 and 2 Godfathers, and then this, but they're close. A lot of people prefer Goodfellas, and it does give you that insight into the mob, you know, the ins and outs of what goes on, a glimpse into the workings of it, and how, you know, how things are. You don't want to walk into a room with your best friend because you might not be coming out. You know what I mean? There's that, and that's the way it goes down. It's just a great gangster film. The story of Henry Hill, who turned out to be an informant later on. It's necessarily graphic. It has to be for this kind of film. And there's so many memorable scenes. That's the mark of a great film. When you can name 20 scenes in this movie that are equally fantastic. You know, from that opening bar scene to the crack on the knuckles with the gun until Pesci walks into the room and De Niro in the phone booth. You know, there's just so many. There's that scene with Lorraine Bracco towards the end where he goes, "Tell her to go down there, and make a right." She doesn't know whether she's going to get whacked or not later on in the film. So, just so many stylistic choices here by Martin Scorsese too, with the camera work and the music and the soundtrack. You know, Layla's playing, and it's just great stuff all the way around. That Harry Chapin, Jump Into the Fire, all these classic rock songs that he chooses. There's some Rolling Stones in there. There's everything. So it's just a landmark film. I'm glad you guys had it number one.
Wouldn't be a Martin Scorsese film if it didn't have Gimme Shelter on it.
You gotta have it. Come on.
You gotta have it, right?
So that was an easy pick, number one.
Yeah. Totally agree. The Ford Fairlane one, that's a good call. Doc, I'm like, Doc, good for you, man. You're the one that stood up. You stood up to Pretty Woman. We'll back your play on this one, buddy.
We have to.
Thanks, man.
Got to back your play.
I like how he takes a box office bonanza film like Pretty Woman and just hammers it. We're taking shit like Ernest, Ford Fairlane.
Ford Fairlane, Ernest goes to jail, and Pretty Woman.
Put them in a blender, spin them around. They're all crap.
I tell you, man, I think that one's just garb. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's not movie making, man.
No.
It made a star out of Julia Roberts, or whatever.
Yeah,
Sure did.
You're not going to get any pushback on me in a Richard Gere film, man. You know that.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
mentioned it,
look,
I'll
as
be
I
like, yeah,
told
that's
you,
fine. You go ahead
I
and
gave the
trash
love
that.
on Internal Affairs, right? I said, yeah, Richard,
Yeah,
he'll
that's
make
a
a
good
appearance
flick.
soon, man. Hang tight, hang tight.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the Grifters? I didn't see it on your list.
I did. I had watched it before, but I only had seen it the one time.
Yeah.
I like the acting in it and stuff. I think maybe I had a problem with the pacing was just a little, it kind of seemed off kilter at times,
Okay.
you know, but I've only seen it the one time. And that was just like in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I do like Awakenings, La Femme Nikita. I like King of New York too with Christopher Walken. That's an over the top performance, but it's a pretty good
Yeah.
movie. And Total Recall, I like a lot of Total Recall. I just can't get past Arnold. That's my problem. I like the plot line. I like a lot of that movie, but Arnold as a leading man just doesn't work for me.
You got to give the people some air.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about the Terminator. And
Come on, man. I got 5 kids.
yeah. But
That's awesome.
it's a good action film for sure, no doubt.
Yeah, actually, it's if I look at my stuff, I'd mentioned Miami Blues and stuff
I like
like that. I
Miami
think that's
Blues.
a really good flick.
Miami
I had
Blues.
Flatliners written down. I had The First Power just as a personal favorite for me because I like that kind of flick. Back to the Future 3 I could watch. It didn't make my top 10.
I couldn't put Wild at Heart in there, the David Lynch movie. Just too strange.
It's too, it's way, I like David Lynch stuff, but that's just
wacky,
way
man.
out there, man.
Another one that was a huge blockbuster, kind of I hate to say a woman's film, but Ghost. I can't stand Ghost. With Patrick Swayze.
That wasn't going to happen.
Demi Moore, not happening.
No, that's not a top 10er, man.
Dick Tracy, forget about that.
That's garbage.
Days of Thunder with Cruise and Kidman, no, wasn't making it. Edward Scissorhands, I kind of liked the movie, but it just didn't cut the mustard.
Yeah, it's quirky and stuff like that. I had that down on my list too. I had Jacob's Ladder written down too.
Jacob's Ladder is an interesting film. Yeah.
I had Flatliners written down as well.
Yeah, there's some.
Die Hard 2, I didn't think was a bad little follow-up to Die Hard. I just
it's all about the villain. I didn't think the villain was strong enough in Die Hard 2.
I actually thought you would have Die Hard 2 because it is a pretty good film. I thought Doc would have it.
Yeah.
But you
just missed, like I said, I kind of like Predator 2, if you want the truth, especially the first half hour, that movie, half hour, 45 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Darkman was a surprise. I didn't see that one coming.
Which one?
Darkman
for you.
Yeah, that's personal favorite, man. What can I tell you?
Yeah, that's it.
That's like Hamlet for me.
Hamlet is very accessible too. You're right about that. For people that are gun shy about Shakespeare, if you get into Hamlet for 15 minutes, you can ride with it. It's pretty good. It's well acted, and it's not that hoity-toity kind of Hamlet Shakespeare.
Right. Yeah, they don't start looking off into the light when they're doing a soliloquy. They actually act it out, Yeah. Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. I saw that years ago. I could probably watch that again. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for 1990 top 10 movies. We'd like to hear some comments and some lists. Always fun to read through those for our viewers out there that either agree or disagree. I'd like to see anybody put a list together and not have Goodfellas at number 1. I'll throw that gauntlet down right now. It's your list, but prove us wrong. To me, there's a big gap between the 1 and the 2, more than any other year we've done so far.
Right.
As clearly the best movie. So but everybody's got their different take. So
everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
On a personal level too, Rich, I would say I'd love to see anybody not have Pretty Woman down as their worst. I'd like to see that on anybody's list too.
Bring that too, man. So go over and check out Brian's channel for the 1990 Perfect album. We did 12 songs earlier this evening. We released the same day as this. So go back and forth, check out the music on Brian's channel, the movies on mine, and check out our back catalog of different years and different music and movies. We have it all together from 65 through 89 on music and 80 through 89 on movies. So for Brian and Doc, this is Rich. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye.